Welcome to the Rane 4 overview video. In this video, we'll be covering all of the performance features of the Rane 4 so that you can take your creativity to the next level with this advanced Serato Stems DJ controller. The full Rane 4 user guide and latest firmware and software download links can always be found in the download section of rane.com. Now, let's get started. On the 4, there are 3 primary feature sections that allow for unprecedented stems control. The dedicated stems pad mode, the dedicated acapella and instrumental buttons, and the Rane exclusive stem split feature. On the Rane 4, there is no need to give up another pad mode in order to use stems. The dedicated stems performance pad mode gives instant access to stems elements and stems effects. To enter the stems pad mode, single press the stems pad mode button. In stems mode, the top 4 pads can be used to mute and unmute stems elements, and the bottom row of pads can be used to engage and disengage stem effects. The corresponding stem element and effects can be viewed on the OLED displays above the pads. In this mode, you can also activate an instant acapella by pressing the left parameter button. Pressing the right parameter button in this mode activates an instant instrumental. The dedicated acapella and instrumental buttons allow you to instantly activate these stems elements while still having access to another pad mode like cue, roll, save loops, and more. Press the acapella button to filter out the instrumental and only play vocals for the current track. Hold Shift and press this button to apply an echo to the removed stem elements. Press the instrumental button to filter out the vocals of the current track. Holding Shift while pressing will apply an echo to the removed vocals as they are dropped out of the track. When a track is loaded to a deck and the stem split button is pressed, the track is instant doubled and the instrumental and acapella are split across 2 channels on the 4. Decks 1 and 2 are always set to the acapella stem, and decks 3 and 4 are always set to the instrumental stem, regardless of what deck is in focus when the stem split button is pressed. This allows you to adjust level, EQ, and apply effects to the instrumental or acapella independently. Ensure that the level of your desired channels are the same before triggering stem split. When stem split is engaged, the 2 decks are locked together, allowing you to loop, scratch, and use hot cues just like you can if you were on a single deck. To manipulate the instrumental or acapella independently, press one of the deck buttons. Now, the platter and performance pads will only affect this selected stem element. While in this mode, you can utilize slip mode to scratch the selected stem element. When your hand leaves the platter, the 2 stem elements will continue to be in sync. For DJs that prefer to chop and cut up samples, it is recommended to leave slip mode off if your hand routinely leaves the platter when scratching. It's easy to lock the stem elements back together after you're done scratching. Just press the stem split button again, and both stems elements will align with whatever deck button is selected. For example, if you're scratching the acapella stem deck and you want to realign the vocals with the instrumental, just tap the instrumental deck button and then press the stem split button. The instrumental deck will remain at its current position, and the acapella deck will sync back up with the instrumental. The decks will then be locked back together. When stem split is engaged and the stem split button is pressed again, the deck assignments will return to their original state. For example, if you had one track loaded to deck 3 prior to engaging stem split, once you deselect stem split, the split track will unload from deck 1 and the entire track will only be on deck 3. The original deck selection button will illuminate to indicate which deck is now in focus. The Rane 4 features 22 internal main effects, 4 knob-controlled channel effects, and access to Serato DJ's software effects. The center OLED display shows the current effect and its parameters. Press one of the main effects buttons to arm a post-fader effect. Press and hold a button and scroll with the encoder to browse through the list of available onboard effects. To load the newly selected effect, press the encoder knob. It's important to note that effects can only be changed when the effect is inactive. Once an effect is selected, the parameter encoder can also be used to control hardware effect parameters by turning. Push this knob to cycle through available parameters for the assigned effect. Additional parameters of the selected effect can be changed using the parameter joystick. Tapping the joystick up or down will adjust effects parameters shown on the display. For example, beat divisions. Tapping the joystick left or right will select the left or right beats per minute or BPM readings. Once desired parameters are set for their selected effect, press and hold that effect selection button for 4 seconds to save the effect and parameters as a default preset. These saved effects and parameters will remain saved internally and will load automatically every time the 4 is powered on. Unsaved adjustments to parameters can be returned to factory default by holding Shift and pressing the appropriate effect selection button. The hardware-software selection button switches between internal hardware effects and Serato DJ's software effects. When this button is blue, internal hardware effects are selected. When it is orange, Serato DJ's software effects are selected. When you're ready to engage an effect, press the Effects Assign button to designate which deck will be affected. The 2 left channels of the 4 are decks 1 and 3, and effects for these decks are assigned with the left assign buttons and the left effect toggle switch. The right 2 channels of the 4 are decks 2 and 4, and effects are assigned with the right assignment buttons and activated with the right toggle switch. When the effect is assigned and activated, the FX depth knob is used to adjust the wet-dry mix of the effects on the corresponding deck. For some effects, this will also change the value of parameters that are also controlled with the depth knob. BPM readings are automatically set to the BPM of the software deck selected, but can be adjusted manually by holding Shift and turning the parameter encoder, or by tapping the tap button on beat 3 consecutive times. Press and hold the tap button for 3 seconds to return the BPM back to the original BPM of the software deck. Channel effects are knob-controlled pre-fader software effects for each channel. The filter channel effects option is also available as a hardware effect when external sources are plugged into the 4 using the line phono inputs. Other channel effects options include filter roll, flanger, and noise. Turn the channel effects knobs clockwise or counterclockwise to engage the effect. At the 12 o'clock position, the effect is off. Channel effects can also be combined with hardware main effects for virtually endless creative mixing options. The Rane 4 features 8 Performance Pad OLED displays that show cue, loop, and sample names, as well as beat divisions and other important performance information. To add a name to your cues and loops, just double-click on the cue or loop name inside of Serato and rename it. The new name will appear on the Rane 4, making it easy to trigger the correct cue point, sample, or loop quickly without looking at your laptop. The Rane 4 features multiple performance pad modes, including hot cue, pitch play, roll, saved loops, sampler, scratch bank, stems, slicer, and a custom user mode. The pad mode listed above the mode selection buttons can be accessed by pressing the mode button once. The pad mode listed below this button can be accessed by quickly double tapping the pad mode button. To enable the combination pad mode, hold down one of the pad mode buttons and tap or double tap the other mode button. The pad mode first pressed will be on the top row of pads, and the second mode pressed will be on the bottom row of pads. When in combination mode, the parameter buttons control the first pad mode. To access the custom user pad mode, just hold Shift and press the Hot Cue pad mode button. While in this mode, all 8 pads and the 2 parameter buttons can be MIDI mapped to various Serato software functions. Now, let's take a closer look at the various performance pad modes. In Hot Cue mode, press an unlit pad to assign a cue point. To jump to a set cue point, just press a lit pad. To unassign a hot cue, just hold Shift and press an assign pad to unassign. The Rane 4 also has the option to change the sensor button to a silent cue button. To do this, access the main menu by holding Shift and pressing the Hardware Software Effects button. Then, select the sensor option and change the function to Silent Cue. Silent Cue allows you to mute a track while playing and instantly unmute the track when a hot cue pad is pressed. In Roll mode, each of the performance pads will perform a different time division loop roll. Releasing the pad stops the loop roll and resumes normal playback where the playhead would be if you had not triggered the loop roll. For example, if the track had been playing forward the whole time. Enable the Show Beat Jump Controls option in the software to allow the bottom 4 pads to control beat jump functions. Disable Show Beat Jump Controls in the Serato Setup menu to access 8 loop rolls at once. You can also view and edit the loop sizes in the software. The beat division links can also be viewed on the Performance Pad OLED screens. To trigger a loop roll, press and hold a pad. The pad LED will be dim when a pad is unpressed. The LED will be at full brightness when a pad is pressed, indicating that the roll is active. Press the left parameter button while a roll is active to half the length of the roll. Press the right parameter button while a roll is active to double the length of the roll. In sampler mode, each pad triggers a sample, which you can assign in the Serato software. To enter sampler mode, press the sampler pad mode button. The pad LED will be unlit when no sample is loaded to a pad. When a sample is loaded, the LED will be bright pink. The LED will flash between off and bright pink when a sample is playing. To stop sample playback, press and hold Shift and press the corresponding pad. To cycle the sample bank selection left, press the left parameter button. To cycle the sample selection right, press the right parameter button. The sample volume can be adjusted with the sample volume knob on the mixer section. Pressing the Assign to Channel 4 button will route the sample output to Channel 4, allowing you to add effects and EQ to the sample. In stems mode, the top 4 pads can be used to mute stem elements and the bottom 4 pads can be used to activate stem effects. To enter stems mode, press stems. For stems elements, pads 1 through 4, the pad LED will be unlit when a stem element is muted or removed. The LED will be bright blue when a stem element is playing. For stem effects, pads 5 through 8, the pad LED will be unlit when the stem effect is off. The LED will be bright amber when the stem effect is on. To activate an instant acapella, press the left parameter button. To activate an instant instrumental, press the right parameter button. To enter pitch play mode, quickly double tap the hot cue mode button. In this mode, the performance pads will offer a range of different keys for the active hot cue, adjustable by semitones. The Serato Pitch and Time plugin is included with the Rane 4 and must be installed to use this mode. To select which hot cue point to use, press and hold Shift and press a dimly lit pad. To select the range of transpositions the pad will use, press the parameter left or right buttons. To play the track from a hot cue point, press a lit pad. Each pad corresponds to a specific transposition by semitones, depending on the current range of transposition. These transpositions can be viewed on the Performance Pad OLED displays. A pad with no semitone selected will be lit dim. A pad with the semitone selected will be lit at full brightness. A pad with no transposition is at the original pitch and will be lit white. In Save Loops mode, each pad triggers a loop previously saved in your software. To enter Save Loops mode, quickly double tap the Roll Pad Mode button. The pad LED will be off when no loop is saved to a pad. The LED will be bright blue when a save loop is active. To activate the save loop, press the pad to activate the loop, or press and hold Shift and press the corresponding pad to activate and jump to the loop position in the track. To half the loop size, press the left parameter button. To double the loop size, press the right parameter button. To move the active loop region backward at the current loop size without deactivating the loop, press and hold Shift and press the left parameter button. To move the active loop region forward at the current loop size without deactivating the loop, press and hold Shift and then press the right parameter button. In Scratch Bank mode, each pad loads samples and tracks from your Serato DJ Pro library to a pad. You can assign the song and set the starting point in the software. This is useful for preparing and performing with song samples for scratching or quick access. To enter Scratch Bank mode, quickly double tap the Sampler Pad Mode button. The pad LED will be off when no track is loaded. The LED will be bright white when a Scratch Bank track is loaded onto a pad. Colors can be set in the Scratch Bank panel within Serato DJ software. To load the selected track to a pad, press an unlit pad. When that pad is pressed again, the corresponding track will be loaded to the deck. To load the track that was previously on the deck before loading a Scratch Bank track, press and hold Shift and press the corresponding pad. In Slicer mode, the 8 pads represent 8 sequential beats or slices in the beat grid. The currently playing slice is represented by the currently lit pad. The light will move through the pads as it progresses through the 8 slice phrase. When you release the pad, the track will resume normal playback from where it would have been if you had never pressed it, as if the track had been playing forward the entire time. To enter Slicer mode, quickly double tap the Stems Pad Mode button. The pad LED will be bright red for all sliced pads. The LED will be bright blue for the playhead position or current slice. To play a slice, press the corresponding pad. If you hold down a pad, the slice note will roll until you release. To half the slice domain size, press the left parameter button. To double the slice domain size, press the right parameter button. In addition to the FX section, the mixer section of the Rane 4 features 4 dedicated volume sliders with 3 band EQ. All EQ controls are full kill. The deck source knobs allow you to select between USB A or B. This makes it easy for DJs to hand off from one computer to another. The USB line source selection is used to set the channel source to computer audio or line audio. When set to USB, MIDI is sent to the sample computer connected to the USB port on the rear panel for that channel and associated deck. When set to line, the audio input signals are routed to channels 3 and 4 to be digitally mixed. Make sure that you set the line phono switches properly. Rane 12s can be connected as a line source or via laptop USB for additional hardware control over the software decks. The 4 is also DVS enabled, allowing you to use the phono input for traditional turntables with timecode vinyl if you have purchased the DVS expansion pack from Serato. The Quantize button allows you to turn Serato DJ's Quantize function on or off. When on, this function will automatically snap your hot cues to the song's beat grid when you set them. It will also automatically snap cue points and relooping to the beat grid when performing so that everything is always executed on beat. The main level knob controls the output volume of the program mix, and the booth zone knob adjusts the output volume of the booth zone outputs. Mic 1 can be turned on by pressing the Mic 1 on button. When holding Shift and pressing this button, talkover mode is activated. This feature automatically reduces the volume level of the main mix when you speak into the microphone. Talkover settings can be adjusted in the system's menu. Mic 1 volume and EQ can be adjusted in this section as well. And the echo on-off switch allows you to add an echo hardware effect to your mic audio. The blue echo knob adjusts the amount of effect applied. Controls for Mic 2 are located on the front panel of the 4. Also located on the front is the crossfader contour knob and crossfader assignment switches. These switches allow you to assign each of the 4 channels to the left or right side of the crossfader, or bypass the crossfader completely. The headphone controls are located on the right side of the front panel. The Cue Mix knob can be used to mix the audio from the program mix and the channels selected with the headphone cue buttons. When all the way to the left, only the cued sources will be heard. When all the way to the right, only the program audio will be heard. When the split cue switch is in the on position, the headphone audio will be split so that the cue channel is summed to mono and sent to the left headphone channel, while the program mix is summed to mono and sent to the right channel. When the switch is in the off position, the cue channel and program mix will be blended together. In both cases, use the Cue Mix knob to control the blend of the 2 signals. The overall headphone level can be adjusted with a cue level knob. Each of the Rane 4's hardware decks feature library navigation controls in the upper right-hand corner, as well as deck selection buttons. Beneath these buttons is the pitch range selection button. Press this to switch between plus or minus 8, 16, and 50% pitch slider ranges. Hold Shift and press this button to turn key lock on or off for the selected deck. Beneath the pitch slider, you'll find momentary pitch bend buttons and dedicated key adjust buttons. Beat jump controls are located in the upper left-hand section of the decks. The beat jump length knob allows you to increase or decrease the beat jump length. This can be seen displayed inside the jog wheel LCD. Press the left or right beat jump button to jump back or forward in the track at the set beat jump length. Slip mode and sensor can both be engaged with the dedicated buttons in this upper section as well. The 8.5-inch high-quality platters feature a vinyl-like textured capacitive touch surface for track manipulation and scratching. The strobe dotted sides act as a pitch bend when nudged forward or pulled back. In the center of the wheels is a 2-inch color LCD display that provides information for needle position, track progress ring, beat jump length, BPM, pitch range, pitch percentage, overview waveform with playhead position and hot cue markers, song key, song time, remaining or elapsed, loop length, and focus deck. For the best playhead and needle position response, make sure that the Serato DJ library plus display preference, maximum screen updates per second, is set to 30 or higher. The 4's system menu allows you to customize crossfader, microphone, display, and other device settings. To access the system menu settings, press and hold Shift and press the Hardware, Software Effects button. The joystick and parameter effects selector encoder can be used to navigate the menu. Push the parameter effects select encoder to confirm value changes. To exit the system menu settings, use the joystick to navigate back to the root. Alternatively, press the Hardware Software Effects button or one of the 6 FX slot buttons to exit the system menu. That should be enough to get you started DJing with the new Rane 4. Remember, the full user guide as well as firmware and software download links are always available in the download section of Rane.com.